Good morning and welcome to Cityline. I'm already having a good time with these two. Please join me in welcoming some familiar faces that you may have seen in the community. They're here to talk about the Home in Tacoma Planning Commission recommendation update. And no, that's not on their business cards, but this is. Please join me in welcoming Alyssa Torres, Senior Planner for the City of Tacoma. Hello. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me again.
You, man, have you slept since I've seen you?
No, and I'm surprised you guys haven't cut me off yet.
Well, no, we're never going to cut you off, okay? Because this man, Chris Carnes, welcome, would not know what to do without you, because you are on the Planning Commission and you chair that commission.
Yes, I do.
And you're still smiling.
Yes, it's a pleasure and an honor to serve the City of Tacoma.
I love that, because people who do what you do and what you do and what I do and everybody does, we can't thank them enough. So let's talk about this. Yeah. If somebody is like, what? What is Home in Tacoma? Give us an overview of what this is so we can get them up to speed.
Yeah, well, if you haven't heard of Home in Tacoma,
where you been?
Where have you been? No, it's a long time in the works. We've been working on this since, 2020, 2019. But essentially, at its highest level, Home in Tacoma is a rezone for the city to allow for more housing types. So we're changing the residential zoning to allow 4 units in any lot, up to 8 units in more dense areas. And so Home in Tacoma proposes the new urban residential zones that come along with the new densities, affordability tools, tree requirements, housing type and design standards, and all of the things that come along with allowing these new housing, denser housing to be built throughout our city.
Absolutely, yeah, and so it is really, as you beautifully clarified that, I thought it is an answer to a gift list. It's an answer to what do you want? And then our grit citizens say, we want this. So what's been happening with the packet over the past few months since we saw you in February? Because that was a big launch.
Yes, so in February we had our public hearing process for the draft packet of Home in Tacoma that was released to our community members to take a look at and provide comments. So we had a public comment period in February, which our community members were fantastic, and they let us know what they thought, and we got 1,500 comments on our draft packet back in February.
15? And here you guys
so part of our public hearing process were these informational events. So we held several events over the course of a couple of months to inform folks of the draft package, let them know what's in the package, and then let them know how they could provide comments. So there were several ways that folks could leave comments, either written comments, there was an online platform. You could have left comments on our interactive zoning map, and of course at our public hearing we held in March where you could come and leave an oral testimony at our Planning Commission. So we did all of that, and then Planning Commission took all of those comments, looked at all of the draft materials, and started to review things, propose amendments, and started working through all of those draft materials to make their final recommendation.
Well, first off, I want to say what? No Skywriter? You guys have done everything you could possibly do to lower barriers and to make feedback be as simple as just speaking it. So congratulations on that. Now, is your seat getting hot? Because here we go. Sure. So Chris, yes. You, the chair, which you don't get paid for, it's on your own time, it's volunteer. I have to put that in there because it is impressive. So what types of changes were considered? And you can look at your notes because I'm sure you got an earful.
Yes. So the entire package is roughly like 350 pages of code, and then we have an enormous number of changes that we're considering for the zoning map. So one of the things that we really considered looking at the Home in Tacoma package was really, where do we want to site that increased density? Should we locate more housing near walkable amenities like parks and schools, transit, and mixed-use centers to give people access to shopping and services? And that's one of the pieces of changes that we considered. We also looked at issues like tree planting, parking for vehicles, as well as increasing the ability of people with disabilities to find accessible housing.
Wow, that's all?
Well, I mean, in total we looked at 32 different amendments to make changes to the program after we received all of our public comment.
Okay, so I'm going to turn up the heat a little bit.
Sure.
Here we go. So what's the biggest difference between the recommendation from the draft package and what you heard?
Yes, so I would say the largest change that we made after hearing from the community was to increase the tree canopy requirements to support those. We heard very loud and clear from the community that in order to make density work in Tacoma, we would really need to ensure that we have that sort of buffering area between larger structures and existing structures in neighborhoods, and that really rang clear. We had, I think, 7 different amendments to consider for those changes. We also looked at making it easier for there to be conversions of existing garages and parking pads into accessory dwelling units.
Yeah,
so
ADUs.
Right, ADUs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because I think what we're going to see as a result of this are more opportunities for homeownership as well as affordable rental units as well.
Absolutely. You know, and people may say, what do trees have to do with livability? And I always want to ask that question. So I'm going to go to you first
Sure.
for the answer. What do trees have to do with livability?
Yes, so part of Home in Tacoma, it's a vision really looking forward to 2050. And the world is changing, the climate is changing, temperatures are increasing, and so trees are part of our resiliency and adaptation strategy overall for the city to make it easier for people to walk and bike on our streets, as well as to shade buildings so that they don't get as hot in the summertime. They also serve as stormwater infrastructure, which is really important for the city. And they have just a host of so many other, ecological, ecological services that they provide to the city.
Absolutely, not to mention just the whole hugging and the good oxygen thing.
They look pretty.
And the raking of the leaves and then jumping in the leaves. Let's just remember why we love trees. Wow, I got to say, I'm thoroughly impressed. And can you be chair of this commission forever? Yes. Okay, now it's done. Okay.
Sure.
So speaking of that, what are the next steps in this process as we take Chris off the frying pan and throw you into the fire?
Well, we're really putting City Council out there,
Okay.
right? So now that we have the Planning Commission's recommendation, it's going to move forward to City Council process, because City Council is ultimately who decides if this is going to be adopted and how and when it gets rolled out. So we have a study session with City Council to kind of present everything that's in the recommendation package in July. So July 30th, we'll be taking it to the City Council to do that presentation. And then from there, they'll also be setting a public hearing date for a public hearing at the council level. So we'll have some more kind of community engagement opportunities to hear from folks about what their thoughts are on the recommendation packet, so that council can take that into consideration as they decide to move the packet forward for adoption.
Okay, so July 30th is when you and Chris come in and say, here's what we learned.
Yes.
And then the next thing we're going to hear is a chance for people to make public comment, either in person or to phone it in. And so people, keep listening to those city council meetings so you know when this is happening.
Yes.
So, okay, what's the timeline for adoption?
Yeah, so we'll go through the council process July and August, have the kind of public hearing process. We'll have some events. We'll continue to engage with City Council to get them up to speed. We're hoping to have them kind of make any final recommendations or amendments to the process. We're hoping to have a vote either way at the end of the year for adoption and implementation in early 2025.
Wow, this is impressive.
It's happening.
This is, I have to say, in the world of commissions, this study is up there with charter review. We all go, oh God, we thank you for doing this, but man, is it a beast. I mean, and the look on your face is like,
Yes.
yeah, this is a beast.
It's taken more than 25 meetings of the Planning Commission over the course of I think over the course of 2 years for Home In Tacoma Phase 2.
And how many people are on the commission?
So there are 9. We have 9 commissioners.
That's a lot of people to organize.
Yes. Yeah, it's,
9.
Yes, and we try to come to consensus as much as possible for these types of decisions,
Right.
since they have such gravity.
And I know that these meetings are open to the public, that people can watch them and watch the Zoom that goes on. So I always just encourage people, it's like, you want to know what's happening on a commission, look it up and watch the tape. Last few minutes, who do we need to thank?
So I'll let Chris start with thanking the commissioner. I want to thank Chris and the commission for all the hours that they've been putting in. And then for me, also the staff. There's a lot of staff behind the scenes that are making this possible, from writing code to putting policy together, creating GIS maps, lots of hours, lots of people, so lots of staff to thank.
And Chris?
Yes. Also, I'd like to thank my fellow commissioners, as well as the other commissions on that are under the city: the Sustainable Tacoma Commission, the Transportation Commission, the Human Rights Commission, which partnered with us on the Housing Equity Task Force. There are just so many partners to thank, as well with our consultants at Bethune and others. It's really been an incredible 4 years of effort, and I'm happy to see it move
Chris,
forward.
thank you for your time. It's just the most valuable gift anybody can give.
Thank you.
And I want to have you guys back on after you present to the City Council.
We will.
I need to hear what happens next. So
we'll
your
keep
work
it
is not done here. All right, David Thompson is over there in the Cityline Comfort Cafe. He is going to talk about food is free here in Tacoma. You don't want to miss that. We'll be right back.